This is how an identity upgrade helped my client make her first 100K offer after essentially months of either no offers or the average offer size after that being about 10 to 15K. Okay, so how do you make a 10x jump that is basically a whole new level of income and delivery and client, all of it? Okay, so number one is you don't solely focus on just the sales. The thing is, she actually worked with a sales coach during the time that we worked together to refine the offer and do all of those things. But the predominant reason of why she also worked with me, in addition to the sales coach, was that nothing that they were being put together actually landed for her, right? There was this overarching sense of, I'm so confused with regards to what is it that I can actually do for 100K. It just seems so insane to make that jump. Yet internally, I feel like I really want this. This is really something that is aligned with me. So what was the difference? Why did that actually click? So the difference is we worked on her identity to basically be able to hold 100K, to accept that this is what I'm actually worth. And here's how we did it. So we started with firstly assessing which identity aspects didn't align with her particular goals. So what are these identity aspects? For entrepreneurs, this is what I call stress drivers, okay? Because if you want something, but a part of you rejects it, the gap in between is what manifests as stress, as that dissonance in terms of your mind, in terms of your emotions, of I really want this, but I can't have it, okay? So what did we assess for? There's over 64 stress drivers that I assess entrepreneurs for, and the ones that are most relevant for this particular client were around boundaries, were essentially around people pleasing, and were essentially around owning and voicing her needs. Okay, so all of these are patterns of thoughts, feelings, and behavior that create the umbrella of this is part of who I am. This is part of my identity. Okay, generally I am a people pleaser because I tend to think, feel, and act in alignment with people pleasing patterns. That is in direct opposition to making a 100K offer. So how? Basically, it breaks down to this, right? The first one that we assessed for was boundaries. And the work that she does is very energetically heavy. So she is a body worker and a coach. So she literally does hands-on work. She's with the actual client for a long time. She's immersed in their problems. She really goes in deep to making sure that the client is better and healed after that particular session. So she had no boundaries around her time, around her energy, and around her recovery. So anything that the client felt like they wanted, she would do for them. When it came time to do, she does retreats where she brings somebody in for a weekend and does everything that she does with them. It was just I'm here for you for the weekend. So there was basically no boundaries around, okay, where is the work time? Where is her integration time? Meaning that of the client. So where does my client work? Where does her client go to integrate? Where do they go to recover? It was just absolutely, completely diluted in terms of how do I actually set boundaries around what it is that we're doing. Why this is relevant is she was already getting exhausted doing this at the 10 to 15K level. When you start to consider, I now have to do this at 100K level, subconsciously, it was the exhaustion that I feel right now with no boundaries are going to also be multiplied 10x. So how am I going to possibly be able to accommodate that much energy output, right? It's a valid concern that her subconscious actually had. It was trying to actually protect her energy from complete and utter burnout. So if you don't start to own and heal the parts of you that are okay with setting boundaries, that see the actual value in setting boundaries, it's going to be very hard to then accept that, you know what, I can do 10x of this. And it's also inaccurate that 10x the price means 10x the output. It's not true at all. It actually means concentrating the output towards helping her client get the results that they're after in their healing journey, because that's ultimately what it is that they're paying for. And she was wanting to work with a higher caliber of individual in terms of what they could financially afford to actually pay for this type of service. So that was number one, like getting her to heal the parts of herself that rejected boundaries, right? And they coincide with the other two things that we assess for. So one is like owning her needs. As a perpetual people pleaser, she basically never even considered that her needs could come first. So now you got to see how these like layer on top of each other, right? If I don't know that I have needs and that I can actually express those needs and that people will accept those needs, and that charging for something also means to accommodate my own needs, how could I possibly set boundaries? And when we started to break that down, it became very clear that she actually had a lot of needs around support, right? If I'm going to do this heavily energetic, exhaustive work to be so immersed in somebody else's healing, I actually need support around the rest of my life during that time. So when we allowed her to explore that, it became apparent that she needs a housekeeper. She needs a concierge to get all of the things that are needed for this customized experience. She needs somebody to take care of food, laundry, cleanup, travel coordinations, pickup, drop off, like all of the things surrounding creating such a customized, unique experience were things that were draining her energy and actually leaving her in a state where she is less able to support her client. So when it's, oh, those are needs, I'm not actually the one that needs to do all of it. I don't have to be a martyr and push forward to do all these things. Suddenly it opened up a whole new world of, wow, so that can become the offer. Like part of this 100K isn't just receiving 100K, it's using that money to create this experience where all I got to do is show up and I can pay other people to do this. I was like, yeah, that's exactly it. But it starts with you owning the fact that you have needs, and then you create structure and systems around those needs to ensure that they are met. And then you reinforce them with the client and with everybody else around boundaries of like, this is what I need. Okay. And it's also played into like recovery, because it was like, if you're gonna be that immersed in somebody's energy, you also have to make time to recover. And we explored options of, okay, well, what if you just rent an Airbnb for yourself, even if they're flying to come see you, and you just go there, there's no family, there's no pets, there's no like responsibilities, you just go there and you rest the next day. So now it started to click of, oh, this is what the experience can actually be like. This is what it is like to serve somebody at this particular level. And it requires me to own the fact that I have needs, I have boundaries, and when I have my cup full, then I am able to actually serve at the highest level. Okay, and really that came down to the last piece of this, which was when I assessed her for people-pleasing patterns. That was obviously the key umbrella thing that held all of this, whereas needs and boundaries, etc. So when it comes to the people-pleasing aspect of this, right? So my kind of working definition, or the way that I like to explain people-pleasing with clients, is like people-pleasing is essentially lying. It is lying because you say yes when internally you mean no, and you're prioritizing the other over yourself, lying to both yourself and them that this is your priority. So in this instance with my client, right, she was saying yes to all of the things that were being asked of her, not just by the clients that she was serving, but by everybody else. And even though internally she wanted to say no, but couldn't actually admit it. So when we got to that point of healing the part of her that was holding all of that together and that had significance from being available to everybody else, it then opened up the possibility for her to own and voice her own needs, and then create structure and boundaries within her business to actually have it make sense to make and create an offer that was 100K. And that is when the confusion around all of this ceased. And when you think about that, the confusion that she was experiencing working with her sales coach actually came down to the fact that was her own subconscious protecting her from going down this road of like burnout and exhaustion. And it was manifesting as confusion. But it's like, it's not actually confusion. That's the mask that it wears. It's actually fear that you're going to be absolutely exhausted doing this type of delivery, which ultimately would have been true if she had not addressed the boundaries and the needs and then created a totally different structure around those to basically support her in a way that it made sense to do these 100K pitches. Okay. So at this point, with everything that she's done to heal it, I have no quarrel that this was her first pitch. And at the time of this recording, she's just waiting for the actual answer of yes or no. But it's like now all the pieces are set for her to actually make this particular sale. So if this all resonated with you and you're interested in what is it like to actually assess for these type of subconscious blocks, if you're an entrepreneur, I call these stress drivers because ultimately they all create stress that manifests in you as the business owner, and then has stressful consequences inside of the business. I do that through my Peaceful Profits roadmap. This is a in-depth assessment that will assess you on 64 different stress drivers and look at how that is creating profit and time leaks inside of your business, and then gives you a blueprint along with my coaching on that blueprint on how to eliminate your top 3 stress drivers and the next steps you need to make to stop the profit and time leaks from them and actually reallocate them towards making more joyous, peaceful profits. So if that's of interest, you will have the link in and around this video somewhere on how to go about getting that. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one.